Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist, the weekly video where we just chill out on the sofa and chat about games for a bit. Because Dragon Quest XI is out on PS4 in the UK right now, this week we thought we'd talk about games we've been trying to convince our friends to play for years. You know, those games you know are awesome but that your friends won't try because they are idiots. So listen, stop ignoring us and play these games, okay? So a game that I always try and get people to play, or a series that I always try and get people to play, but they always ignore me, like you, Dave.
Huh?
Whey! It's Dragon Quest.
No!
And I talk about it because Dragon Quest XI is here, and I think it's one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful example of a classic style JRPG that you can play. It's very respectful of its origins. It doesn't really try and change its core formula too much. Like, you get Final Fantasy is a very different beast to Dragon Quest. It's a very experimental game, Final Fantasy. Every new Final Fantasy tries to do something new and evolve the formula, and it likes to be constantly moving forward. Whereas Dragon Quest knows what it's good at. It knows what people love about that old classic style of JRPG, and it just does that, but just makes it look prettier every time.
What are those things?
Those things are having like a cool party of characters. A cool party of characters, traditionally thrown together through whatever strange circumstances they're thrown together in, journeying across a huge and beautiful world, often either being chased by or chasing a really evil, dark lord, ultra villain type person whose end goal is often to destroy the world or rule the world. And there will be turn-based combat, and there will be leveling up, and there will be lots of very cool monsters to fight and towns to visit, and there'll be an ice level probably and a volcano level, and you know, just
getting out that checklist of JRPGs.
just game, just the quintessential JRPG type game. And I believe Dragon Quest is the absolute best example of that genre. And I think you should just play it, Dave. Like, you enjoyed Ni no Kuni, didn't you? Which is also another fine example of how you can take that classic JRPG formula and still make a very modern game with it. I think Dragon Quest XI is the same. I mean, it has evolved in some ways, like what used to be random battles is now, you know, you see enemies on the field. The world is very much like a real open world, whereas previously you'd have these, traditionally in JRPGs, you have like a scaled down world map area. Ni no Kuni 2 has this still, where you traverse between towns on like a scaled down version. You've got little chibi versions of your characters running around, and then you enter towns and it shifts to like the town view. Whereas Dragon Quest is more sort of a traditional, what you would be used to having played Skyrim and The Witcher, more of an open world type feel, but it's still got all of those classic JRPG elements that make JRPGs. It's also got Akira Toriyama designing the characters and the monsters, who is also the man behind Dragon Ball.
I love those comments.
So,
why does it look like Dragon Ball?
What? God's sake, Dave.
Did you growing up? Did you not have Tsunami?
Never seen Dragon Ball Z.
Oh my,
Oh,
don't.
get out.
You just, he's ruined the whole video now. For crying out loud.
Purpose.
Just
I
don't
didn't.
call
I
it.
just never watched cartoons.
Oh, he's done it!
Come
He's
on,
done it!
everybody, come on!
Anyway, it's the same, the guy, that Akira Toriyama, designs the characters and the monsters in Dragon Quest, so you get this, and I love his art style. The monsters look ridiculous. You probably are aware of the slime. The big kind of blue
Yes, I am,
round ball
yes.
with the funny smiley face.
From Dragon Quest Builders, I know him from.
It's just, you know, the slime is to Dragon Quest what Moogles or Chocobos are to Final Fantasy. Just that iconic monster that is in, you know, all of the games. Everyone knows the slime. Just play it, please play it. Stop ignoring me and play Dragon Quest XI specifically, because it's out now on PS4.
Right, my entry's kind of ironic because this video, the title of this video, Listen, Just Play This Game and Stop Ignoring Me, something like that, it is like Nathan is the person who ignores you. The more you tell Nathan he will love something, the less likely he is to heed your advice and try it.
He still hasn't seen Interstellar, has he?
He still hasn't seen Interstellar. He'd really like it, probably.
You've got to convince Nathan that anything he's going to see or do, you've got to convince him that it was his idea.
Yes.
You're doing it.
And it's ironic because my entry, Nathan actually told me to play, and I ignored him for a very long time. Rob, you also did, but I'm coming to you. But Nathan did, and I ignored him for a very long time until I didn't, and I played the game, and I actually played the game. I finished it in an evening from start to finish. It's only short. It took me about 3.5 hours, and that game is played inside. Has anyone played inside? No, Rob has played inside, and he also said you need to play this game. But you said that off the back of how long did you play it?
An hour.
About an hour. So you've got a good 2.5 hours worth of inside left to play. Let me tell you, you got to get it finished, Rob. My God, this game, it's made by Playdead, who made Limbo. So, and it's kind of stylistically very similar. So it's quite a muted world in terms of like color palette and stuff. You play, it's kind of side-scrolling in a way, although it is kind of like three. It has depth. The worlds have depth to them. And you play a character. There's no dialogue, there's no text, there's nothing to tell you what to do, there's no button prompts. The game starts, the logo is on the screen, and then you sit there for a minute going, is anything going to happen? You press like X, and then the game starts, and then your character arrives, and by a process of fiddling on the controller, as you would expect, you start playing the game. It's just 2 buttons, and you are and it's difficult. It's a difficult one because you really need to play this game knowing about as much as I've just told you about it. You are a character in this world, and you need to discover what's going on. But it's such an amazing world. There's so much good gameplay. It's so fascinating, and the last quarter of the game is absolutely unbelievably good, and like this amazing payoff to this. The whole first bit, I guess, it's like just something happens, and you're like, oh man, that's changed things for me, and it's one of those games where, because there's no dialogue, because there's no text or anything of that nature, everything is told through the environment. And I just love environmental storytelling. I think it's just the best. I think it's when developers really hit their stride, when they don't tell you anything in dialogue or text or anything. They just put stuff in the world, and it's there for you to interpret or discover for yourself. And maybe you will do that, maybe you won't. But that's my absolute favourite. When stuff is there for you to uncover, I just think that's when games are at their very, very best. And this game basically is just that. It just like sets your imagination on fire and has an amazing payoff at the end. And then you'll just want to immediately go on the internet and read what people have written about it, what people think about it, what they've said about it. I just think it's excellent. And Rob, you need to finish it. I've said this to you many times, and Nate said it to you many times. And Holly and Dan, you need to start it and then finish it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. That's like.
You should.
That's a little live stream session.
Absolutely.
That's a little live stream.
Oh, it'll be great on a live stream because you
That's a
can.
little live stream in the after. A nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You can ask everyone for their theories and stuff. It'd be great. Do it.
So I'm going to rustle some feathers here. A game that everyone needs to play is Battlefield 1.
Oh,
But you might say, Dan, everyone's played Battlefield 1. That's a really popular game.
I certainly have.
Let me tell you what's happened here.
Okay.
The single-player campaign is the bit no one plays.
Yeah.
I finished it, and at the end, you get a trophy that says you completed the war stories, is what they're called. And when I did it, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, less than 10% of people had that trophy that played the game, and it made me a little bit sad and quite angry because the war stories are really excellent.
Yes.
They're really, really good. There's 5 or 6 of them, and they're each 3 or 4 levels, and they're just placed across Western Europe during the First World War. They're so good. The music's great, the writing's great, some of the characters you meet are great. There's so many different environments and scenes you're put into. You start off in a tank, there's like a tank level, and sometimes you have to get out the tank and like run up to a tower. There's a level where you play as a pigeon.
You play as a pigeon.
You play as a carrier pigeon. You're in the tank and you're out in the no man's land, and your tank breaks down, and you need to send a carrier pigeon back to ask for artillery support to clear the path for you.
Speckled Jim.
I don't know what his actual name is.
No.
I do.
What?
It's from Blackadder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's good.
Speckled Jim.
Important part of the war, I think.
Yeah, there's another group of missions called the Runner, where you just play a messenger basically, and you just have to get from one side of town to the other, relaying messages. It's like a really amazing captain you've got who's an Aussie. He's just really funny, really cleverly written, really sarcastic. And then at the end, the last levels, you play as an assistant to Lawrence of Arabia, and you help derail a train, which is in the Ottoman Empire. And you have to go into the derelict train and collect bits around it. It's just so varied and so well written and so much fun to play. And I recommend it to everyone.
It's also great because you talking about that, you've made me realise how it addresses all the kind of problems or the differences of war in the olden days that we don't think about now, like getting messages to people. Like they had to be runners who had to run across the battlefield.
Yeah, it's really cleverly
to relay orders.
integrated game design into that. And I don't think it would work necessarily as like a 12-hour campaign.
Yeah.
Like you play as one person, here's your story. Because a lot of World War I is just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
But when something does happen, it's incredible. So if you can just take those like 1 or 2 days at a time in different parts of Europe, there's some really good stories in there. And I think they've done a really good job of portraying that in the game.
I always thought it was a good way of letting you learn which weapons you liked as well. For multiplayer, you can go,
Yeah.
I like this shotgun. I'll try and unlock that or whatever. You know.
Yeah, there's some bonkers weapons in World War I. Some like the machine guns are just massive,
Yeah.
but they're really fun to use.
Battlefield 1 is great.
I think a lot of those online games, online like shooters, people really take their stories for granted.
Yeah.
COD's another great one.
Yeah,
It used to be the story modes in COD were 4 or 5 hours long, but they were intense and they were like engaging, and they were
Definitely.
really, really fantastic. But they always got sort of sidestepped. People just forgot that they were there.
yeah.
So good.
I just want that percentage to go up on that trophy, maybe to like 20-25%.
Yeah.
Make me a little bit happier.
I'm suddenly
Call
concerned.
to arms that Dan is issuing.
I'm suddenly
to the
concerned that I
internet.
didn't finish the campaign, so
Ooh.
I might have to.
There is an epilogue as well you have to watch to get the trophy.
Okay.
I know you care about your trophies, Dave.
Yeah, I'm a big trophy hunter, so
Wow.
yeah. Well, I'm big and I have trophies.
That I just found
I
flying
found
around.
well, yeah, they keep rolling into them. All right, Dan. Challenge accepted.
Go for it.
So, a game that you just need to stop and you just need to play. Now, it's not a game people would think I'd go for because I do play some really odd sort of little indie darlings and there's always loads of retro stuff I like. But I'm in a situation at the moment where I have quite a lot of like quite nerdy, quite geeky friends. I don't like the term hardcore gamer because it's dumb, but I am that sort of level of gamer. My life is I work in games all day and I go home and I talk and I think and I play games all night. My friends aren't like that. They might, you know, they're into like Star Wars and stuff like that, but they don't consume their nerdiness like I do. So they'll play maybe 1 or 2 games a year. Some of them might play Final Fantasy 14, but quite honestly, they don't play anything else. Or they love a BioWare, and they'll play 1 or 2 games a year, and they'll love them, but that's sort of it. And now and again, games come along, and you just want to shake and be like, I know you're going to love this game. Please just try it. And more often than not, I've either got to give them my copy, or I've somehow got to get them, I've got to do something, because I've got to get them to play it. And currently, at the moment, we're going through this now with Detroit Become Human.
Oh, so good.
Now, I went through it again, same thing with Until Dawn,
Yeah.
and I did with Beyond Two Souls as well. These kind of games that, they're not non-gamers, but they're the kind of games where they can just jump into the world, jump into the story, feel like they've got control over where it's going and what's happening, but they're not getting lost in, you know, a huge JRPG, which to them is just, it's way too much. It's like too far down the rabbit hole. Because like even with these friends, I wouldn't suggest Yakuza to them. It's too much. But you know, like my best girlfriend, she loves a bit of Mass Effect because, you know, she's just like, how quickly can I get through the fighting scenes just so I can go back to talk to everybody on the ship. Yeah, it's a bit of that. But Detroit, and it's just, listen, you're going to love it, trust me, even though you're not super hardcore. It's incredible watching them. My Facebook Messenger every day is them being like, oh my God, so-and-so just died, or this just happened, and oh my God, what did you get when you did this bit? Oh my God, I can't believe that thing just happened to Connor, and isn't Connor just the best? And I love Marcus's clothes. And it's just watching this group of like non-gamers just devour. I mean, it's not wrong. These are literally the messages I get. I think Marcus's Bay was the last message I got from one of my friends. And now they're all like, because they all cosplay as well, so they're all constructing uniforms. Nice. They're all, you know, it's mobile phone wallpapers, there's lots
they're
of...
not nerdy enough to play JRPGs, but they're getting cosplay.
Mental though, yeah, but they will. Because it's like a surface level of gaming culture. And then there's us, buried deep within the earth. Like the mole people.
Mole gamers.
Mole gamers, not hardcore anymore, we're mole gamers. We've delved, we've dug, we've eaten the worms on the way down.
We haven't seen the sun.
And we've pulled the soil back over us so that no one will find us. So yeah, that's my kind of game, and it's perfect if you're watching this and you've got friends or family. And it doesn't have to be Detroit. There, you know, Quantic made other Beyond's kind of crazy. Heavy Rain is very twisted, but it's that similar thing. And if not, Until Dawn in that kind of 90s teen horror, because we're that age. But they're a really, really nice like subset of games to get you like to listen. Non-gamer friends, listen. Join us underground.
But also, if you are underground, you should play it as well.
You actually just should.
Play it by yourself. You don't need a friend or anything. It's so good.
But if you have got someone who's played it, they are so much fun to swap stories.
You will want to talk to someone about it.
You have to.
Yeah.
And don't go on Tumblr. The Tumblr have gone.
Oh God.
Oh, they've hit the centre of the earth.
Right.
That's how far they've
Red
dug.
hot magma, yeah.
Burning, yaoi magma.
Magma gamers.
Magma gamers. They're the ones that are making the yaoi fan art on Tumblr.
Okay.
So listen.
All
right. Listen.
Yeah.
I can't start it like that. It's awful, isn't it? So yeah, try those games out, right? Especially Dragon Quest XI. It's properly amazing, even if you're not usually into JRPGs. I'm talking about it again, I'm sorry. Let us know in the comments what games you're always trying to make your friends play. Give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on anything from the world of PlayStation.
For the players.